Welcome to the Inspiration Station hosted by Joshua Lenox, the place to fill up your tank if you're in need of encouragement and motivation.
Hey y'all, it is Friday, March the 13th, 2026. We are live right now on the Inspiration Station with the CEO, none other than the Chief Encouragement Officer, myself, Joshua Lenox. So I am so glad to see you guys as you all are making your way in here. Come one, come all, hurry up, because I want to get this stuff to you as fast as I can and let you get back to your Friday, to your family, to your own, whatever it is you want to get back to. I want you to get to that and enjoy yourself as you start your weekend. As you guys are coming in, please let me know how you're doing, how your week has been so far. I know it has been exciting, right? It's been enthusiastic. It's been wonderful. It's been magnificent. And you've had challenges because guess what? You're a human. So we're always going to have challenges. However, let those challenges continue to remind you that you are an overcomer and there's nothing that can be thrown your way that you can't get the victory out of, right? As we're coming in, hello to everybody on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live. Did I say that already, y'all? Oh, I'm gonna say it again. Instagram Live. Also on Audible, Spotify, and Apple, our wonderful listeners that are out there right now that are listening on the podcast and will be listening later, and some of you all who are watching me right now, and also for you all who will be watching later. I want to continue to just give so much appreciation to each and every one of you who keep liking and subscribing and sharing. I mean, just to see the numbers continue to be where they are weekly is just a blessing. And as I always say, just get started on whatever it is. You don't ever know what the outcome is going to be or how you're going to progress in something if you never start. You don't have to have everything together. Some things are going to come as you go. Want to say to everybody who's new here today, tonight, or in the morning, or whenever you're watching, I want to say you are no longer a guest. You are family. You're stuck to us now. You're stuck like Velcro, cement, glue. I mean, whatever you want to say. You will be here every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? Also, I want to say that I really appreciate the commentary that's coming back, the feedback, and you just never know what you're going to do when you launch something and you get something started. And here we are a year and some months later with the Inspiration Station. So I'm so thankful for that. To everybody in the United States, everybody all abroad, over in several different countries and all the different continents, it's just a blessing to see what God is doing, and much more is to come, just like it is for your own lives. So y'all, let's jump right on in today on the Inspiration Station. And this is your first time, I'm going to give you this rundown, and now you'll know it for the rest of your life. But the Inspiration Station is literally a nickname that I was given several years ago, where a person told me that they felt like I was a radio station that sent out signals that people needed to hear. Had no clue that we will be using it today and doing a show, doing a podcast, but I'm grateful for that. But it's not just about the person who you are sitting across from that you can see or that you're hearing right now. It's about all of us. It's about you as well, because we're all inspirations to people, other people, and also to ourselves. And some of y'all, I know you probably struggle with that. Like, I'm not an inspiration to myself. Just look back over your quote unquote biography, your life, and look at the several different chapters of your life that you have overcome great things. You've been successful at great things. And if you can do those things back then, you're going to do even greater today and moving forward. So also, this is where we're open, we're honest, we're vulnerable. Got to be open, honest, and vulnerable, not just with each other, but most of all with ourselves, because the relationship that is often neglected is what, class? It's the one we have with ourselves. Good job. Good job. So proud of y'all. Y'all doing good. I give everybody a gold sticker virtually. So, also, this is where we're not only open, honest, and vulnerable, but we're receiving encouragement, we're receiving inspiration, we're receiving wisdom, motivation, but we're not just receiving that to just let it sit, but we're allowing that to move us into some level of action. And sometimes action doesn't mean I run off to do something immediately, but it means it might start in my head. It might start as a thought or a belief. Now this starts to change the way I see things, and maybe that makes my feet get to moving. So also, this is where people will come on to be interviewed, people from far and wide, people you know very well that are very popular, famous, or people who you may have never met before a day in your life. But everybody is a superstar to me. If you haven't known that by now, Everybody is a superstar to me, and that means you are as well. Before we get started, also, I want to say, I want to appreciate also the feedback that keeps coming back about people being, enjoying the show, enjoying things that are going on. And I would love to hear that, and I appreciate that because, again, it's about all of us. It's not just about the vessel, as I say, that you're hearing. And y'all, I didn't even want to do this, to be honest, and glad that I did. Glad that I did. And that's why I say you never know what your life is going to do when you try things you've never done before, things you didn't really even intend to do, or maybe even things you didn't want to do, not knowing the impact. Because each and every one of you are impactful. Each and every one of you are very influential. And most of all, you're very much so needed. And that means your gifts, talents, and abilities are needed, and your skill sets in areas that maybe you have not ventured out into yet. So I want to jump in, y'all. The title of tonight is called Preparation to Prominence. Say it with me, y'all. I'm going from preparation to prominence. One more time. I'm going from preparation to prominence. What is probably, we know what preparation is. That means just basically getting ready for something, getting ready, whether that means immediately or whether that means for something up the road. Prominence just means where you're well known for whatever it is that you do, what you produce, and who you are. So I want to start with this line. I want you guys to kind of think about as I'm speaking tonight. You have been exposed to who you're becoming and where you are going, and nothing is wasted in what you're being prepared for right now. You have been exposed to who you're becoming and where you are going, and nothing is wasted in what you're being prepared for right now. That's right. And if you hear that right now, you all have been prepared, being prepared for something at this very moment, even under the sound of my voice. I know you're like, what am I being prepared for? Pay attention to your life. What are some things that you're gearing up for? What are some things that you're visualizing, that you are brainstorming, that you're praying about, whatever it is, you're being prepared for something right now, and nothing has been wasted to get you to this very point. And when I say the exposed thing, I heard TD Jakes say several years ago that you've already been exposed to where you're going. You just don't know it sometimes immediately. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about three important figures in my life, people who I think are very great, influential individuals to maybe even many of you out there, but they have been in my life. And I want to just talk briefly about them, hit on them really quick, and we're going to get out of here. But how they were prepared to be the prominent people that we learned of them to become, and not realizing the stages that they had to go through to get to where they are. Because many of the people that I'm talking to right now, some people probably think that you're an overnight sensation, or they see you being so successful and all the great things you're doing, and they just think that this happened just like that, not realizing that you've been prepared for such a time as this, and it took a lot to get you where you are at this very moment, and there are still more things for you that you're going to do that are even greater than right now that you're being prepared for. So first person I want to talk about is Wilma Rudolph. If you don't know who Wilma Rudolph is, then you can log off right now. But she's, of course, a gold medalist of the Olympics of 1960, where she got, goodness, a gold medal in the 100, 200, and the 4x1 relay. She tore that last leg up. She is, of course, born and raised in Clarksville, Tennessee. But one of the things that I love about her is that where she started with adversity. She was not the person who, as a child, no one would have ever really discovered or thought that she would be this Olympic medalist that she became. But she had polio at the age of 4. And again, keep in context, when I'm speaking about these people, we're talking about preparation to prominence. So you're always being prepared, and you're also being exposed to where you're going to go. She had polio at age 4, and her left leg was paralyzed, y'all. She had issues with her left leg up until she was about 12 years old. She had to get a brace put on her leg by age 12. Do y'all know that her mother used to walk with her? And let me back up. She had 22 siblings between her father's 2 marriages. 22 siblings. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of children to feed. But her mother would walk her to the doctor's office when I think they went once a month. It was a 90-mile trip, round trip. 45 miles one way, 45 miles back for y'all who can't calculate that fast. But Can you imagine? I mean, like today, some of y'all ain't gonna walk 45 minutes. Some of y'all ain't gonna walk 45 seconds without getting in the car or getting an Uber or what's the other one, Lyft or whatever it is. But they were walking once a month to the doctor, 90 miles a round trip. And as they were doing that walking, Wilma's legs started to get stronger. By the time she had the brace at 12, her siblings actually would take turns and massage her left leg, massaging her leg to try to get it strengthened. And now when I'm even talking about, I'm like, what was so pressing about getting this child to get strength in her leg? What was going on about that? And also because she did want to play, she did want to run, she was just limited. Well, y'all, you fast forward, she went to high school. Let me back up. She was told she would never walk again. Her parents were told also that she would never walk again. Mind you, by 12, she's got this brace on her leg. Her mom has been making her walk with her all these miles, and it strengthened her leg. And her siblings were playing a part by massaging her left leg. By the time she was in high school, she was a basketball and track star. So much so, Ed Temple of Tennessee State University, he was the late coach of the Tiger Bells there, the women's track team, and he saw her in high school in Clarksville, saw her, recruited, wanted her to run for him. She was 16, y'all, when she went to the Olympics. Now, y'all did remember I said she had a brace on her leg at 12, but by 16, she's in the Olympics. Y'all hear that pin drop? Yeah, I know. 1956. She got a bronze in the 4x1, the 4x1 relay. Fast forward 4 years later, in 1960, as I told you guys, she got a gold medal in the 100, the 200, and the 4x1 relay. And she was the last leg. She was the last leg, and I'm telling you, she brought that thing on home. What are we learning from Wilma? What was she being prepared for to be if she became world renowned in the Olympics? But she could barely walk when she was a little kid. Look at the preparation it took for her to get to the track, to get to the Olympics. She had a paralyzed left leg that had to be strengthened. Her mother would have her walk with her to the doctor once a month. Her siblings played a role. Sometimes, we have to have people who are going to help us along the way in massaging her leg, even though she was told she would never walk again. Then she continued to play and do things. So then when she got to high school, she's playing sports. Playing basketball, that's a lot of running. She was running track. That's a lot of running. You have conditioning. You have you have to have a lot of discipline. You have to have a lot of dedication, a lot of endurance, a lot of stamina. So she's having to be, moving quite a bit. That would lead her to be 16 years old, not even out of high school yet, to go to the Olympics, and she's running with a college college team. How do you do that? So do you see what I'm saying? She was prepared at a young age, from that age 4 up until 16, just to get her to the Olympics. And then not only that, she turned 20 and she's getting 3 gold medals. What? So again, somebody could look at that if they don't know her backstory. They could be thinking, "Oh wow, she's one of the best ever to do it in track and field." It's like, yeah, but do you know what she had to do to prepare to get there? Even if that wasn't in her foresight to say, "I want to be an Olympic gold medalist," it was a part of her journey, and she got there. But it took time and preparation to get her there. Next person I want to talk about, which y'all have heard me speak about before, these next two especially, but Whitney Houston, of course. Love her dearly, rest her soul. Y'all, many of you probably know about her life, but maybe you don't know some points that I'm going to point out. I'm a huge fan of hers, so I kind of know everything. We went to school together, actually, back in East Orange, New Jersey, but let me stop before the lightning strikes. But Whitney was, of course, growing up in church singing. And, if you're anybody who grew up in church singing, put a fire or put a hand or something in the comments. If you grew up singing in the church, that's like training. That especially if you had a choir director who didn't play or a minister of music, you were going to sing right, correctly. And so it was training. So, of course, she grew up singing in the church, and, she enjoyed singing with her family and things of that nature. Dionne Warwick is her cousin. Come on now. So, you think the whole family sang crazy noisily. I mean, they had the drinker singers, which was Sissy's, her mother, Sissy Houston's siblings. They sing together. So she grew up around it. She couldn't run away from it. But when she decided that she wanted to be professional, her mother put the hammer on her and she asked her, "You sure you want to sing or do you want to be in showbiz?" And she was like, "Well, what's the difference?" And she like, "Oh, showbiz is totally different. That's a monster in itself." She wanted to sing, so Sissy would rehearse her rigorously to some points where Whitney wanted to quit. She wanted to quit. She told she didn't want to do it anymore. And Sissy was like, "Oh no, you're not going to waste my time. And you're not going to, you said you want to do it, so you're going to do it." Whitney didn't realize what she was getting herself into. Now, in the midst of her being rigorously trained by her mother, she was actually modeling at one point. She was modeling, and she was actually the first black woman on the cover of 17 magazine. But before she got to the cover of that magazine, you talk about Whitney was 14 years old and singing background for famous artists with her mom. And sometimes tag along with them would be Luther Vandross. She sang background on a lot of songs for Shaka Khan and several other artists, but one that she sang on is something that she would cover when she became a full-blown artist herself, which was "I'm Every Woman." Cissy Houston, Whitney Houston, and Luther Vandross sang on background for that one. And another song called Papillon, aka Butterfly, Black Butterfly, for Shaka Khan. So she was already in the studio doing a work. She was already putting in work. She was singing background for Sissy at Sweetwater's in New York. And Sweetwater's, you could have any and everybody come through there. Clive Davis, several different artists, and she would sing background. And sometimes Sissy would bring her to the forefront. So she's training, pushing, pumping her, and she's not letting her take any breaks. And again, even up until those points, she wanted to quit. But you got to think about it too. She was surrounded by artists even as a child. Aretha Franklin, she would be in the studio when Sissy sang background for Aretha Franklin. She was right there in front of a legend. And again, traveling sometimes with Dionne Warwick, her cousin. So she was going to see her, I know a lot of times in Vegas. And so she was being exposed to all of this stuff, not knowing what's coming up for this one when she gets older. One of the things I want to say that stands out to me about her too is that she was actually signed to Arista Records in 1983, but her album did not come out until Valentine's Day of 1985. So even in that, think about everything I'm saying. She started singing in church. She told her mom she wanted to sing, so her mom was like, "All right, I'm finna put it on you. You shouldn't have said anything." Rehearsing her rigorously, very tough on her, very hard on her. Y'all probably can imagine she probably slapped her a few times, but pushing her. But then Whitney was exposed to being in the studio, doing studio work, doing background vocals for many people, especially Shaka Khan. She was already among Luther Vandross and things of that nature. He's like a big brother to her. So she had been around music royalty and she was getting a taste of what this can look like, not knowing what was about to come for her. So when she got to Arista and signed in 1983, somebody could think, well, what was she signed? Well, didn't her album come out the next year? Preparation. Preparation. They wanted to make sure they market knew what her sound was going to be. They wanted the songs to be perfect. What was her look going to be? All the people they wanted to back her. All of these things had to go into preparation mode for her to put her out in 1985, only to catapult her because that first album got her a Grammy. Not every artist gets a Grammy for their first album. She did. And then, as you all know, her career skyrocketed. So all the work that she put in to get right up into that point to produce her first album would take her on for the rest of her career. And as y'all saw, she never sat down. Especially when she got in the early 90s to do Bodyguard, she never sat down. So that's my thing with Whitney. She was prepared to become prominent. She was prepared for prominence through church, mom, family, exposure, and then going to Arista, and the rest is history. Last person, Michael Jackson. And one thing I want to say, y'all, I'm so excited about next month because his movie is coming out and his nephew is playing him. And I'm not going right away because I know it's going to be packed and crazy and everybody's going to have on their Michael Jackson stuff and all of that. I just wait until, I can breathe to sit in this theater, and be safe. Now I think everybody's going to be moonwalking across the room while I'm trying to watch it. So Michael, many of you know his story. I mean, I feel like Jesus is the most famous person you're going to ever come across Jesus is first. But then I feel like Michael is not too far down the list. But Michael, he studied as a little boy. He would watch TV. First of all, I remember his mother said something in the interview. She said she knew he was going to do something with moving because they had a rickety washing machine. And when it would make a tick-a-toon sound like that, he would get up and dance to it. And she was like, it's something about him. I don't know what it is. But he also would watch James Brown and Jackie Wilson all the time. He watched their moves, their voice, especially Jackie Wilson, his singing voice. He was mesmerized by these people. You know, just as much as people are mesmerized by him, he was mesmerized by those two individuals specifically. And doing that, he and his brothers, they practiced. Y'all saw the movie The Jacksons, An American Dream. Joe was a tyrant. I don't want to say tyrant. I just think he was a strict disciplinarian because he saw that they had a gift and a talent that could take them from the bad area of Gary and really skyrocket them as a music group because he was in music as well. But they practiced for countless hours. Michael was 5 when they started over and over and over and over and over again. They would do talent shows. They would do local things. They would go to Chicago and do things at night. They would travel around when they could to in close proximity just to get exposure so they can get their name out there in a way. So a lot of times people can look and think they started rehearsing and they just jumped to Motown. It's like, no, they went through a couple of years of having to hone their craft, get used to crowds, get used to any kind of crowd. Sometimes they were in places where people were doing strip tease, y'all, but it was all a part of it, right? They were being prepared. They were being primed for what was to come that they didn't know. But Joe obviously had a vision for them and he saw where they could go. So that's why he pushed so hard. People say, you know, he was a tyrant and he was hard on them and he should have been more whatever. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get into all of that, but it really produced music music royalty that we've never seen before through a family and then also through individuals in that family. So saying all of that is also when they got to the Apollo finally, of course, this gave them greater exposure. But it was Bobby Taylor. A lot of people think that the Jacksons were discovered by Gladys Knight, or they think it was Diana Ross. Diana Ross just was the person who, when they got to the Hollywood Palace, she could present them, and that would give them more of a hand, I guess, a hands up in the industry or things like that because of who she was already. However, Bobby Taylor discovered them, and he is the one who got them set up for their audition at Motown. So, of course, when they get to Motown, y'all knew what the Motown sound. You got the Temptations, Stevie Wonder, Martha and the Vandellas, the Supremes. I mean, the Four Tops. I can go on and on. Mary Wilson and Mary Wilson. Wait a minute, hold on. She was in the Supremes. Some Mary Wells. That's who it was. Several different amazing artists, all in this factory called Motown. So, of course, when the Jacksons got there, Michael was a sponge when he was a kid. He soaked up everything. He asked several different questions. Anything he wanted to see or he wanted to know, he was very inquisitive. Also, he learned a lot about the business, not only through Joe, but also through Berry Gordy. He watched how he managed his artists. He watched how he ran things. He watched what things with PR. And also, you know what? This is a quick side note, bonus note. But Berry Gordy modeled Motown after the Ford plant that he worked at when he was younger, before he had Motown. So he took the assembly line way of doing things and applied it to Motown. So, of course, when you came into Motown, you were going to go through etiquette, you're going through vocal coaching, choreography, teaching you how to do interviews, teaching you how to walk. Again, the etiquette, teaching you how to walk right, talk right, how you carry yourself. Artists are A&R. They had to learn about artists and repertoire. He wanted them to really be groomed and polished before they went out to the world. That's why they had such a success. So even in that time, Michael was glued to Berry Gordy. So he paid attention to everything. And then he also would glean from other artists and learn there too. They used to call him a midget because they felt like he was just an adult in a child's body. I don't know if some of you all know, but Michael actually was not a solo artist when Off the Wall came. That was not him becoming a solo artist. He was a solo artist starting in 1972 when they put out the album Got to Be There. And actually there were 4 albums. Let's see. So you had Got to Be There, then you had Ben, then you had Music and Me, and then Dear Michael. So you had those albums to come out before he did Off the Wall. So Michael got exposure right then on what would it be like to be on my own, even though I'm still performing with my brothers. What would it be like when I'm going to the studio and it's just me? What would it be like when I'm being on? I think it was on the Academy Awards and they let him do Ben. He was learning then what would it be like to stand alone, even though I'm still with my brother. It's like he got a taste of it. But of course, when he went to do The Wiz in the late 70s, he was in New York for 6 months. He got to spread his wings, going to Studio 54 and, talking to other artists, getting other ideas about sounds. And he always talked about it. He had so many different sounds within him, and he just felt like he was limited with his brothers. Well, a match made in heaven, a marriage musically, was with Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, of course, he asked him to be his producer for him for Off the Wall. And I mean, that took Michael to the next level. That was his first adult solo album. And after Off the Wall, y'all see what we got. What's my point? He did not become this prominent, legendary icon, uh, of course, overnight, but he started as a child right there in Gary, Indiana with his brothers. Countless hours of rehearsing, traveling, going around, getting exposure, then finally getting discovered and going to Motown. Then he was able to study and learn and pay attention to everything they were doing, then to also be a child and then start to produce, I said not produce, but have his own solo albums, four of them. So it's like he was learning and exposed. What would it look like if I'm by myself? What would it look like if I'm on stage and my brothers are not with me, even though I'm still performing with them? Excuse me. Then to go off to do The Wiz, a movie, his first movie he did. For 6 months, he's got this freedom, and it's like, I want to do something different. Well, Michael had already been around Motown, Berry Gordy, and several other different people, so he kind of knew what he wanted sound wise. He knew how to work the studio. He knew how to do those types of things. He knew how to conduct certain levels of business, negotiate things. So he was prepared. And then after Off the Wall, he went to the next level because y'all know we got Thriller, then we had Bad, then we had Dangerous, then we had History. And I mean, I can go down the list. I told y'all I'm no joke when it comes to Michael. But my point with Michael Jackson is look at where he started. All those things started as a kid to prepare him to become the solo artist. It was not a surprise. Just like for Whitney, it wasn't going to be a surprise that she became Whitney Houston. For Wilma Rudolph, it wasn't going to be a surprise that she was going to be some level of greatness, especially after she overcame the polio and then she actually overcame having the leg brace, and she kept moving and got stronger and became a star in basketball and track in high school to get discovered, only to go off to the Olympics twice. So I'm saying with all of these people's stories, I want you to think about three questions for me. This is your homework and something for you to apply right now. And I'm going to let y'all go, right? Your class will be dismissed. But I want you to ask yourself this. What have I been exposed to that led me right to where I am today? What have I been exposed to that led me right to where I am today? Number two, what am I being prepared for right now? I know some of y'all are maybe, depending upon your age or anything of that nature, I don't want to hear it because you still have time to be prepared for things that you still have your heart's desires are not fulfilled yet. You have heart's desires, prayers, dreams, visions you want to come to pass. What if it's for such a time as this? So even right now, what are you being prepared for? It's not too late. It might doesn't mean that you needed to acquire certain things, learn from things, get wisdom, gain knowledge to get to this very point to where you're more equipped now. And keep in mind, like I've told y'all before, sometimes you're prepared before and sometimes you're prepared in it. The last question I want to ask you is what is being developed in me that I have already had glimpses of? What is being developed in me that I have already had glimpses of? I'll go to Michael really quick. There were things he talked about he would see himself doing when he was growing up, later in his life. So it's like, as he was going along, his pilot was like, oh, I saw this stuff that was going to happen. Some of y'all have had the same thing happen to you already. You've gotten glimpses of stuff. You've been developed in certain things, and you already have had the glimpses of the things, and you just have not attained it yet. You haven't gotten there yet. So again, what is being developed in me that I have already had glimpses of? There are things you've already seen that are going to come in your life that you're going to walk out, and you just haven't gotten there yet, but you're being prepared for it. All right? All right, y'all. The last things I want to say, and I'm really going to let you go. You may think that you are surprised by how your life turns out. but you actually knew you would do what you were doing because you were exposed to it. You may think you are surprised by how your life turns out, but you actually knew you would do what you're doing because you were exposed. You were exposed to it, I promise you. And if I can give you a quick example, I know I'm gonna let y'all go. A quick example. I remember, again, people ask me all the time, well, did you know you were going to be a counselor? I was like, no, not really. I mean, I knew I was going to sing, and I was going to dance, and I was going to act. I knew I was going to be of some level of always wanting to encourage people, uplift them. But it made sense once God led me to my masters, both of them, one in pastoral counseling and one in professional counseling. I didn't understand at first, but then it made sense. I'm like, well, people have always come to me. Even when I was a child, adults would come to me and confide in me and tell me their business. And, people have always trusted me, which I'm very thankful for. People have always found me to be very trustworthy, knowing that they're safe with me. And I didn't understand it, but then I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. So even talking about the glimpses of things, I saw myself, I was 7 years old, and I saw myself in a uniform. I didn't know it was me. It was a guy on a football field with girls behind him that had on gold. They had on gold tops and black bottoms. The guy had on a black and gold top with black bottoms. And when I was standing on the field in, I think 2006, I was standing on the field, and we had a coach at that time, just that year. And I started crying. And she said, Josh, are you okay? I said, I'm the guy in the dream. And I was like, that was me. And the dream I had when I was 7 was like just like 2 seconds, just enough for me to remember a picture. And I was the guy in the shirt. So in the gold and black top and the black bottom. So what I'm saying to you is, even prophetically, in a vision, there are some things that God has already, some snapshots He's shown you that are going to come to pass. So, last thing I want to say is, I want to repeat what I mentioned earlier, is that you have been exposed to who you're becoming and where you're going, and nothing is wasted in what you're being prepared for right now. You have been exposed to who you're becoming and where you are going, and nothing is wasted in what you're being prepared for right now. Everything that you need to go through, the good, the bad, the ugly, has prepared you for where you are now and also where you're about to head. So, as always, y'all, I love you. Please just love on somebody more than usual. If you care about people, I'm sorry, not even just care about people, but if you love somebody, let them know. If you're proud of somebody, let them know. If you are just wanting somebody to go and be the best them that they can be, let them know. If you need to forgive somebody, forgive them. Sometimes it might not be one-on-one, it might be between you and the Lord. But don't withhold things that you know you need to say or you feel led to say. If you love somebody, let them know. And sometimes it might not even be through your words. It just might be how your actions are and how you show up in their life consistently. So I love y'all. I will look forward to seeing you guys, as always, next Friday right here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And as I always say to everyone over in the international lands, far and wide, you all know your time zones, and I know a lot of you all watch later on because of the time zones. But I also know some of y'all watch very early, especially even right now. It's morning time where some of you guys are, and you are watching at this very moment. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad that y'all are here. So I love you. You've always been good. You've always been great. Always been great. You're just getting better, and you're embracing it, finally. You've always been great. You're just getting better, and you're finally embracing it. I will see y'all next Friday, right here, right here. Be safe now. Stay out of trouble. And I know some of y'all probably can't make promises with that, but do your very best, all right? Love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Thanks for watching The Inspiration Station with Joshua Lenox. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.